Elsa. I'm so excited to chat with you today. How did you get into this crazy trading game?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you. I started getting interested back in 2019. I flipped a home and thought that I was gonna do something in real estate. I really enjoyed that, and I was looking for more information on that. And I started reading books, and one of those books was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And love him or hate him, he's the guy that got me excited about um, investing and about cash flow. And he had a financial advisor, Andy Tanner, or has, and he teaches a course on investing and trading that I took called Cash Flow Academy. So that's where I learned how to the basics of trading and risk management, and it was actually a really big foundation for me. I highly recommend it. And then after that, I became hooked and started reading all the books that I could find on trading. And here I am.
No, that's great. Yeah, I started in a similar manner. I got some books by Warren Buffett, and then although that was all investing, right? So I'm like,
Right.
oh yeah, I'm going to do investing, and then I'm a slow learner apparently, and I started investing. I'm like, you know what, this takes a lot of time, and it's not really my style. So eventually, I came to trading too. So you were a lot smarter than I am, and got right to it apparently.
Sure. Well, I read lots of books on investing too. And for most people, that's what I recommend Mr. Investing. Trading is a really hard
Yeah.
game, but it's what I enjoy and it's what I love.
That's a really good point. If you're listening to this and you are a trader, you're insane, right? Because anyone who's
you
been
gotta
there
be
knows
you
it.
gotta be
Yeah,
somewhat crazy to do this for sure.
yeah, 100%. Okay, so then starting off, what were some of your biggest challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Biggest challenges. Well, in the beginning, just so you know, I don't have any financial background. So I was starting from ground zero when I got into this. So when I started reading these books, it was like learning a foreign language. I did not understand anything. And, when I'd look at a chart, I had no idea what I was looking at. So that was my greatest challenge in the beginning was just figuring out the lingo and training my eye to read the charts. But I just told myself, like, it's all just a matter of time. It's all about the time I put into it. Eventually, it's going to click and it's going to make sense, and I'll figure it out. A couple years prior, I had learned how to ski. And in the beginning, I totally sucked. And so I reflected on that experience as I was learning how to trade. Like, you're going to fall down, you're going to have some builds, you're going to mess up, but you just got to put the work in, put the time in. And the main thing is just staying alive, not breaking a leg, being able to continue to come back the next day. And so I really focused on my risk management, limiting my downside, and just surviving. And I'm still kind of, to be honest, I'm still learning and I'm still trying to improve on that. But the main thing is when you're first learning and starting out is not making money. It's just staying alive and not blowing up your account.
I love this ski analogy. I was gonna say, yeah, and absolutely break some bones, but you mentioned that, so that was definitely accurate. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely about staying alive, and anyone who it doesn't matter how long you've been in a game, there's always more to learn. And I think that's one of the allures, at least for me. I view it as this like big, beautiful puzzle that's sort of like a video game that you're kind of like, always able to kind of learn some more or improve at. So
For sure. Like, yeah, you can always improve and there's always risks, especially with extreme sports, and things like skiing. It's like,
right.
it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you're still at risk for an injury, to
Yeah.
how it.
So do you still ski? You still ski?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What are some of the core principles that guide your trading decisions?
I'm very much a trend follower. I'm always looking for low risk, high probability, low risk, you know, high reward setups. So asymmetrical setups. Um, and really, I'm just looking to stack the probabilities in my favor and with the least amount of risk.
Okay. So do
Yeah.
you use just charts to look at that or themes? It's interesting when you were posting some of your uh, charts and some of your trades, it was also in line with the commitment of traders reports. I don't know if you use any of that type of stuff positioning, but I was like, huh, this is interesting. I wonder where
No. Now, I did subscribe to IVD back in like 2001, 2002, and I love IVD. But I was reading O'Neill at the time and got really into Can Slim and was trying to kind of focus on both fundamentals and technicals at the same time. And then, of course, it was just perfect timing. 2022 happened, and I was trying to trade breakouts in a bigger
Yeah.
market, and it just didn't work. And I lost some money. That was super frustrating at first. I stopped trading for about 6 months to kind of regroup and to get the courage to try again. So after that, I stopped really looking at the fundamentals as I put a greater emphasis on performance and just price action. And I just look for themes and I look for what's outperform. I had the same that I do where I multiple watch lists for different industries, not just the sectors, but the industry. Every day, that's part of my routine. I go through and review the industries and how they're performing. And I look at all time frames. So I just kind of try to stack, as much favorable things in my favor.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. Yeah, I feel like at least for me, there's sort of like when you first start trading, you kind of like set up, this is a breakout, this is all I need to trade, right? And then you get hit with the bear market, you're like, wait a second, I need to like understand the themes and the market and all that other stuff. So I feel like you sort of have to to peel the onion back, so to speak. So it sounds like you're definitely looking at themes and do you have like how do you understand if you're like in a good market or a bad market? I think you hit on it on Twitter, but just if you could elaborate.
If I'm in a good market or a bad market, well, just the trades are working. As I'm getting traction, if my trades are working out, I know that I can add a little bit more exposure. And if things aren't working and a lot of my positions are being stopped out, I decrease my exposure. So I just kind of let the market tell me what to do, and I just take that feedback.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because what you're saying is simple, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? That's
It's
the thing.
totally simple in theory, yes.
Hmm.
But then you throw in, our humanness and
Hmm.
the risk and the greed, and it's really a skull.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Um, so in regards to, the humanness, do you use any intuition in your trading or how do you go about that?
I probably use about as much intuition in my trading as I do in my skiing or riding a bike or whatever. I mean, I think there's some of it now that I'm not even consciously aware of, you know what I mean? Like, I look at a chart and I think this feels good. It's like there's something that tells me or stay away, this is bad. And there's like a part of me that can recognize that sometimes even before I'm fully conscious of it. It's like, yeah, I don't know. But I am a discretionary trader. I do have a system, but there's a lot of discretion that's involved. And as far as intuition, I like to just look at the chart and I try not to trade what I think. I look as a being and what's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, that's great. And then in regards to the charts, what exactly are you looking at? Do you have certain indicators that you use? What technical methods essentially are you using for your trading?
It's super simple. I mean, if you've seen my charts on Twitter, they're they're pretty basic. I'm looking at price action mostly, and I trade company handle breakouts, flat bases. I'm looking for, things coming out of stage one. I do like stage analysis, so I like the stage two stop.
No, that's great. And then for the audience, can you explain stage analysis briefly?
Yeah, so after my little hiccup in 2022 trying to do Can Slim, trading the breakouts in the bear market, I read Stan Weinstein's How to Profit in Bear and Bull Markets, or whatever the name of that book is. And he teaches something called stage analysis. Essentially, he goes through like the maturity of a stock. And there's, high probable times to get in, and then there's riskier times to get in. And so it's hard to explain it without a chart in front of me to show it. But essentially, I'm trying to get in when a stock is breaking out of consolidation and where there's a lot of upside I'm not trying to buy a Bitcoin. Every company, every stock chart, whatever, goes through cycles and seasons, and there's ideal times to buy and ideal times to sell. And the ideal time to buy is breaking out of the stage one up into stage two. And I wish I had a picture show or a chart to go with.
Yeah, I'll link something in the description.
Yeah.
Do you also have any other indicators or intuition points to determine, where the market cycle is? Just to kind of give you an example for me, I know when I have a lot of open positions, I'm probably going to have a drawdown because, once I get to that level of, open positions, we've moved up quite a bit. So that's sort of one of my personal indicators. I was just curious if you have anything like that.
Yeah. Once I start seeing, I'm making profits, I'm making traction, and things are looking extended, the charts are looking extended, then I can kind of anticipate there's probably going to be a little bit of a pullback. There's going to be some digestion, and I step back. As far as like where the market is at, I have the belief that there are cycles and seasons, and there's always something. There's always something that's doing well. So I just look for. That's why I don't just like narrow in on tech or semiconductors. I like to look at everything. So when there are those pullbacks in those top leading industries, I know where money is flowing and what things are doing well, and I can take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It makes a lot of sense. No, that's great. Okay, so in regards to staying up to date with the latest market trends and news, do you follow any like news-based trading, or is it strictly charts and performance?
No, no, I try to stay away from news articles. In my experience, it's always in the charts first. The charts tell the news before the news tells the news. So I remember a high school teacher telling us one time, like, if you ever want to know the truth about something, follow the money. And that's true with trading. Like, if you want to know, where things are going to go, just look at the charts and then the news will come out. Like, I've just seen it over and over again. You'll see a theme, when there's, a group of stocks all moving the same way or behaving the same way or similarly. I know something's up. It's like none of us are smart enough to know. None of us have the insider information. The best insider information is seriously the market and the charts. Not as good as it's gonna get. In my
Right.
experience, when I try to like tell the future or you know what I mean, like anticipate like future events, I'm usually wrong. Like I don't know the future. And you can, you know, think about it, what's going on in current events right now. And you can think that you know what's gonna happen next, but the reality is none of us do. And the charts will show first.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot easier. It took me some time, but it's a lot easier to react and to predict, right? Okay. So then, can you walk us through one of your most recent trades? And when you're talking about a breakup, maybe from a Head and Shoulders, do you have like defined entry criteria and things like that where you put your stop? And
I'd like to trade pullbacks off the main moving averages. And then I will, if I'm trading that kind of a setup, I will just put my stop right under it, that low is low. And once it hits resistance, I might trim some and sell some there.
resistance. When you say resistance, what are you looking for in resistance?
So I'm just looking at previous price action. So like on a like flat base, I'm just looking where it's been rejected in the past over and over again. So I'm anticipating that there's a possibility that it rejected again. So I'm going to trim some and it's off. So for that reason, with these types of setups, I like to go full position from the beginning, keep a short, tight stop loss, and then trim some as soon as it gets to resistance. And then if it breaks out, great. And it doesn't, at least I've, dropped in some, but I've taken some off. So that's how you're reading those. I mean, as far as breakouts go, kind of same thing. I like to start with a full position, and then if it comes back to an entry point, I trim. Because there's usually a pullback after it breaks out. It's not complicated.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, getting in the right stocks in the right markets complicated, and managing your emotions are complicated. The setups,
For sure.
Yeah, yeah,
The emotional part, the psychology is the hard part. And there's no way that you can get around that. I mean, risk management is how you get around it. Position sizing is how you get around it. But you're always going to have fear and greed. Yeah.
sure.
If
Yeah,
you're
so
desperate, the market will sense it. Your positions, your frame will show it. And
yeah.
so you just kind of stay silent as you can.
So how do you manage risk from a portfolio level then and a position level? What's your risk management? Because obviously we can't get away from it. How do you manage it?
Well, it's kind of like I was saying earlier. If I'm having a lot of success, I keep adding. I keep adding to my exposure, and I don't add to existing positions. And this is what some people disagree with me on. They think that I trade too much. I prefer to open a new position as opposed to adding to my previous position. It doesn't work out for me. And from my experiences, I like your first entry is always the best entry, and so that's why I like to go big in the beginning. And yeah, I will just start a new position in the same industry or in a similar group team if I'm getting traction with the name or whatever. And I'll just keep adding to my exposure there. And then if things start getting snuffed out, then I'm naturally just back in a catch. The downside edge, the pullbacks. If my equity curve reaches like a certain level, 12%. I That's kind of my comfort zone. Like I don't want to have drawdowns really more than that. So I do watch the P&L, but I I try to handle my position in the
Agree with you there. Adding to positions is challenging because you need to also wait for a setup. You can't just indiscriminately add to a position that's moving up, right?
front. You
At
gotta
least,
wait for it to set up again, which takes
yeah,
time. And
right.
so yeah, so I prefer to
Yep,
just put my money into a totally different, fresh position.
right, right.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like so far you've had a pretty good trading journey. What are some of the setbacks or those skiing incidents that maybe you had that you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, it's rough. It's not easy. It hasn't been smooth. I mean, I might make it look like that, but yeah, 2022 was hard. And I've been able to, come back from that, form that cup, in my equity curve. And then I was getting a lot of traction in the fall, winter, spring. This spring was really good for, I think, everybody because the market was good. And I was in energy, which, a lot of people want to trade, but that's how I made a lot of that money was in energy. And April was tough. There was a pullback there, and I've just kind of been consolidating. It's kind of been tricky this summer. So I'm not just like killing it. Like I'm doing fine. I'm spending enough float but it's a struggle. It's always a struggle. You
Sure.
always gotta fight for it. It doesn't come
Sure.
easy, but I'm just protecting that downside, waiting for my pitch.
Now, has there been any like breakthroughs? And this is kind of my follow-up question after, you had some of the challenges earlier. Were there any specific breakthroughs that you had like and incorporated this into your trading to maybe get you up to the next level, so to speak?
Yeah. So one of the books that I really like is Training the Zone by Mark Douglas, and he suggests in there to do the 20 trade experiment, and that really helped me. Keeping track of my average loss, my average gain, and knowing really what's realistic to expect from my positions. Because here I was, when I began trading, I was wanting the home runs. I was wanting these 10 baggers, 100 baggers, whatever. I was wanting to find Nvidia. Really, I found that it's not. I mean, that's great when you find that, but as a trader, I'm working on a different time frame. So what's realistic within my time frame is not for something to 10x. Like a 30% gain would be nice. And that's all I need. If I just stack those up, if I'm getting 15, 20, 30% gains, and I'm cutting my losses, at 3 to 5%. That's all I need. And you just keep doing that over and over again. I'm not trying. I mean, I am trying. I'm trying to find the best setups I can find and the biggest winner if I can find. Keeping track of my trades has helped me understand what's realistic to expect. And also just knowing where to take gains and where to cut losses.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Can you share a specific example of successful trade and maybe what you learned from it?
Yeah. So my most current trade was Green Brick Partners. They're a home builder, and I found them by looking at different time frames. And I noticed that they were breaking out of a stage two consolidation. There was potential that they, you know, could break out of. And I don't think a lot of people were watching them. A lot of people are interested in AI and semiconductors, and they're not looking at the same. They're not looking big. They're not looking at the historical charts. You know what I mean? And some people they don't like to do that. I don't understand why. I don't know why people don't like an AFCO chart. But
Mm.
like Tidewater, they're another one. Camco, TCJ. I know these companies by their tickers. They were all macro plays that I was watching on big time frames. And a lot of people are just looking at the most, immediate data or whatever was immediate charts. I
Yeah.
found that the more time frames that you can have stacked in your favor, the better, the bigger the moves can be.
No, that's great. Yeah, it's actually kind of refreshing because I'm on Twitter and I have like Tesla, Nvidia, Palantir, all of these, and then all of a sudden you're showing, Green Brick Partners. I'm like, okay, this is interesting, and then that's kind of one of those things that made me reach out to you because you're sharing ideas that you believe in, and then not just parroting, what else is out there, which I think is pretty cool.
Sometimes that concerns me. Well, in the beginning, it concerned me, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, why is no one else talking about these, or why am now it doesn't bother me. Whatever. I don't
yeah,
care. Like, I don't want to be in those charts. After reading Stan Weinstein's book on stage analysis, you know, and really understanding the supply and demand and how that all works, like, I have no desire to be in those stage three things. You know what I mean? Yeah, let them have them. I don't care.
yeah. No, no, that's great. That's great. Um, okay. So it's funny because I was going to ask for, some advice for, aspiring traders in some of the books, but it sounds like, Stan should be sending you a check for all the kind words that you're saying, regarding stage analysis, huh?
I do love that book. It's been really
Mhm.
helpful. And it's another one of those things that's so simple in theory. None of this is like rocket science, but it's difficult to execute on.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part for aspiring traders and for myself is just wanting to make money right away. And was this something that takes patience? That's not how you make money. You don't make it in one night. You don't make it, you know, like that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just takes time. It just takes time. And for those basics to set up and for the bitch to own you, does it all takes time. That's the hardest part. And not everyone has time. Like learning to trade, you have to have a lot of time where you're not making money and being able to live without making money. I mean, not a lot of people can do this because,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. I
and
find
that's
it,
the biggest obstacle, time
yeah.
and obviously money to begin.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I find it interesting. A lot of people want to become traders, but they're not willing to do the work. I mean, how many of them are checking out their charts every day? How many of them are journaling and all of that? And the truth is, if you want to really do well, I think you have to take your approach and really take a broad look at the market, understand where money is flowing, and do it day in and day out. And I guess, taking it back a step where you said, to an early part of our conversation about having an eye for it. I'm assuming that's kind of what's given you that quote unquote eye for a chart, right? Just seeing so many of them, right?
Yeah, I spend a lot of time. If you ask my kid or any of my family members, yeah, I spend a lot of time looking at charts. And you have to. My brother thinks I'm crazy. He's like, "Why? Like, I don't understand. Why do you like doing that?" I don't know either. I don't know why I love it, but I spend a lot of time doing it, and that's what makes me good at it. One of the things that helped me actually in the beginning was scalping a little bit, working on those smaller time frames, seeing how price moves, what can happen. And that helped me with pattern recognition. Scalping actually did. So some people recommend paper trading starting out. I would recommend just using a little bit of money and scalping and watching, something like, The Accused or something, Stopping Spy or something, and just watching those charts. I was small time frame. That helped train our a lot. So
Yeah.
when I first started reading the books and I was like looking at the pictures, the diagrams that they had in there, it's really difficult for me to put it all together. But yeah, nothing can make up for that screen time. But you gotta sit there and you gotta watch those figures. And not a lot of people want to do that.
Right.
And when people come to me and ask me to teach them how to trade, I'll read them a book and they don't want to read the book or they don't understand the lingo. It's like, you gotta really want it. You gotta really enjoy it. There's no way to do it without doing that.
Right.
Without
Right.
wanting it.
Yeah. And I guess, in regards to the amount of time you are looking at charts, and maybe, it's different now than was previously. But, what do you think is, a trader or a new trader needs to spend on a daily or weekly basis looking at charts? And this could not be this. Maybe this isn't you. Maybe this is some other trader. We won't put any names. But yeah.
I'd say this. If you're meant to be a trader, you won't be asking that question
Yeah.
because you'll want to look at her. It's not just like, oh, okay, listen, I need to do 5 hours a day looking at charts, and it's like, setting a timer. No, it's like, I look at these when I'm going to bed. I look at these when I wake up. I look at them all the time. I'm looking on my phone, looking on my iPad. I'm obsessed. Is it healthy? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, you have to be kind of crazy to want to do it. And maybe you don't have to be like me. Maybe you don't have to do it that much. But, like,
Yeah. I think if you want to be a discretionary trader, you have to have, in the nicest way, because I'm in the same camp, maybe a few screws loose, just because
yeah.
you really have to put in a lot of work for
Yeah.
like no pay and make a lot of, sacrifices with your time to come up with this potential goal that may never be realized. I mean, if you want to make money, if you're not into trading, if you want to make money, go start a business. Don't just start
Right.
trading. You know,
Right.
start
Yeah.
start trading if you can't do anything else but trade, and you'll and case in point what you just said, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, my boyfriend, he's like, some people will watch TV or scroll on their phone. And I do scroll on my phone. I'm on Twitter a lot, X a lot, but I'm talking about trading. I'm posting charts. I look at charts. That's what I do instead of watching TV. So if that sounds fun to you, trading might be for you. If it's yeah, I don't know. But like, yeah, I'm making sacrifices with my time. There's other things that I don't do because I'm we're getting the market.
No, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So, kind of, I know we already talked about the four stages, but are there any other books, courses, or websites that you'd recommend for learning trading?
So, like I said, I started out with Andy Tanner's Cash Flow Academy, and that was really great because that helped me understand the risk management really well. But also, in the beginning, I think a good beginner book is The Rule by Larry Height. He also did like entry level book, and I really like High Probability Trading by Marcel Link. But it's not a commonly talked about book, but for a beginner, that's a really good book. That's a really good place to start. And he talks about what to expect and what you need to make it as a trader. Unfortunately, I didn't read it when I first started out. I just found it, and I wish that I had had it when I was first starting out. I began actually with Mark Minervini's books, and those were a good place to start too. He really, he hammers on the importance of putting your losses at your average gain, and talks about the volatility contraction patterns and what to look for. And then he's on book on mindset, which is great. So I highly recommend all those. Everyone knows about Parker Me. Not very many people know about this semester lead guy. And this is my really trading book, but I really recommend that. He brought it in the chat. He might have back cash flow at me. Or that course was really great.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the future of trading, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, they say, right? They say that it takes like 5 to 7 years to really be successful, and I've been doing it for 4. So, I'm hoping that I continue to improve and get better. I can't see myself doing anything else. So if this doesn't work out, I'm not, I guess, a person, but I think I'll always be involved in the market. I don't know. I can't picture myself doing anything else. I love it, and I'm just going to continue to work on getting better and improving. I don't really have like any goals to, buy Lamborghinis or anything, but just continue trading, just to stay alive.
Yeah. No, that's great. Perfect. Okay, and then finally, is there any unique insight or, I like to call them alpha drop or something critical to your trading success that's not widely known or discussed?
My strategy, I'm just reviewing the market every day, going through my watch list, the different industries. I feel like that's not many people do that. And I think that that's really important. Even if you're not interested in those companies or whatever, to review the performance of what is performing within each industry. So when things change, you can kind of have a feel of where to look next, you know? So for me, I guess that's it. I mean, it's not anything mind blowing, but have different watch lists for different industries and review them regularly and review performance. I go through on the weekends and I review the top performing stock for that week, for the month, for and if I see like there's a big change in the market, something's changing, losing traction. If my P&L is going down or if it's slowing down, whatever, you need to regularly review what changes have taken place, how things are performing. And I make lists. I make lots of lists. A notebook, the top performers of past 3 months, the last 6 months. And that's how I stayed into the thing.
Okay, and then do you have any final thoughts or messages for the listeners?
Final thoughts or message. Trading's not easy. It's hard. And you have to really want it to be successful at it. And unfortunately, it's not as glamorous as people make it out to be. It's really not. Like, there's long periods where you're not making any money and it's not consistent. The market is never going to give you the consistency that you want and that you crave. You have to be the consistency. Your strategy has to be the consistency. And I guess that's my advice. Yeah. You have to be consistent on the market will never give that to you. Ever.
Right. Yeah, have realistic expectations. I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not this glamorous. I think I know some really good traders and they're not living glamorous lifestyles and they're phenomenal traders. I mean they're doing well, but it's not what's commonly thought of when you think professional trader, like not all traders are living in mansions and driving Lamborghinis. I mean, they might be wealthy, but it's not like you wouldn't suspect a lot of traders to be as successful as they are if you were meeting on the street. It's not
Right.
It's not a glamorous lifestyle. I'm looking at charts all day. It's very nerdy.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's one of those things where, one of the things that probably in the top three that I least enjoy is having to pull money out of my trading account, right? It's like,
Right.
it's infuriating. So whatever it is or whatever purchase, it's just, because we're there to trade. I mean, I think, this interview sort of encapsulates, successful traders have to have a passion for trading and you embody that. So why in the world would you want to take money out of your trading account, right?
No, you want to keep growing it for sure. Yeah, if you're trading to make money so you can buy a watch or a car or whatever, latest thing is, you're not going you have to want to, you have to like the game. You have to like the process. And that's got to be the reward for you in order to continue to grow and to keep stacking. You have to like the game, not just the end result for the lifestyle that you're wanting to create.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. Okay, perfect. With that, we'll wrap up. Elsa, I really appreciate you today. I think you've been phenomenal and can't wait to chat with you again, okay?
This is super fun. Thanks for talking with